presented by Mismatch Era. We're going to recap training camp week 1 for the Tennessee Titans. Going to talk a little bit about our offensive line, our wide receiver battle, and I'm going to pick 5 winners from week 1 of camp. Let's get it.
Toss it. Morant. Drive. Job on. At home. And Morant is the hero.
Yes, this is Von's Doghouse, man. Talk a little bit about week 1 from Titans training camp. A lot of buzz coming from the offensive line. A lot of concern being shown for the offensive line. I'm not too high on the concerns. The concerns come from our defensive line dominating at times. And from what I know, this defensive line is supposed to be one of the best in the league. They're supposed to be dominant. I'm not surprised that in training camp, week 1, the defense has dominated just a little bit. There's also been good moments from the offense. We see a lot of catches happening. We see Malik Willis playing well. We see Will Levis playing well. And we see Ryan Tannehill playing well. So in order for them to play well, something good has to be happening, right? So I'm not too concerned about our offensive line getting their ass whooped from time to time. I'm not, because this defense is supposed to be that. They're supposed to be that. They're supposed to be bullies. They're supposed to be disruptive. This is the same, a different iteration of the same defensive line that had 9 sacks in a playoff game against the Joe Burrow Bengals. So I'm not too concerned about our offensive line. Talking a little bit about our offensive line, the main concern right now is right tackle. We do have to find a replacement at right tackle, just to fill in for Nicholas Petit-Frere, who's suspended 6 games for gambling, which is going to become an issue in the future in itself. But Andre Dillard is a left tackle that we picked up. So far, man, I'm hearing that he's solid. That's all I care about, because last year we probably had if not one of the worst offensive linemen in the league, and Dennis Daly. So Andre Dillard has been solid. Only issue is he's been matched up with Arden Key a lot of camp, and I honestly am super high on Arden Key. I believe that he is going to be extremely disruptive this year, and he's going to become a household name, at least as much of a household name as the Tennessee Titan can become. I think he's going to be a household name on this defensive line. Him and Harold Landry coming from either side. This is a hellified defensive line, man. They can cause hell, and they can make a lot of offensive lines look silly. So I'm not concerned with Andre Dillard. I did see that he did an interview after practice earlier in the week, just talking about Arden Key and, bigging him up on how dominant he can be and all of his skill sets that he possessed. But he didn't sound worried. He sounded like he was in there battling. And if you can battle with Arden Key for most of camp, and iron can sharpen iron, I'm not too worried about Andre Dillard in his offense. So if you have a solid left tackle, if he's even a league average left tackle, he's gonna be good, man. And that's all we need, is for him to be good. I did see here Buck from A to Z. He did point out a little bit of an observation that he didn't think that Daniel Brunskill has been impressive in camp. He doesn't think that that's a sure thing at the moment, that he's going to be our starting right guard. But I've seen Daniel Brunskill standing there against Aaron Donald one-on-one by himself. So, I mean, if he's not showing it in practice, I can care less as long as he's not getting blown up and he can show it when it's time to show it in the game. And he can show improve. He's a vet, maybe he's taking this. I don't know. But I'm not too worried about Daniel Brunskill. I'm not too worried about Andre Dillard based on the reports that I'm getting from week one. According to some of my sources, man, that we see some of the intel coming out of camp, Skoronski has been solid. Rarely making mistakes, and when he does make mistakes, he's recovering, he's learning, he's not making the same mistake twice. That's what you want to see. He's kind of working inside, and he's taking on those he's taking on that Simmons pressure. He's taking on that Danico Autry pressure, that T.R. Tart pressure. So if he can stand in there against those guys, man, week one of training camp as a rookie, man, we really got us one. We really got us one. So super excited about that. Couple of sparks flew with the offensive defensive line with Jeffrey Simmons and Jamario Jones, who is the leading candidate, I assume, right now to stand in there for MPF in his absence. And I like to see the chippiness. You know what I mean? Like, I like to see Jeff pushing Jamarco to the point where he's getting upset. I like to see that. I like to see those tempers flying. I like to see that competitiveness. They both earned themselves some time in the sandpit, according to reports. But I like to see like that competitiveness. And once again, man, if the quarterbacks are making plays, the running backs are making plays. I heard that language coming from Vrabel, where he talked about looking better in pads, and earlier in the week he talked about Malik Willis and Tannehill taking advantage of running lanes and making plays in the red zone to score. You don't make plays and those lanes don't open up if you're not moving the pocket and moving those pass rushers out of the way and creating those lanes. So I'm not worried. I'm really not worried. You guys can be worried, but until I see it on the field, I'm gonna wait to reserve my judgment until preseason has concluded. Yeah, and we'll see how it works, man. Look, when it comes to right tackle, we just got to survive 6 games, man. 6 games out of 17. If we can't survive 6 games until MPF gets back and get that line into a rhythm and just be able to be league average or solid on the line, then we have some problems. We only go as far as this offensive line takes us. It's just that simple. But in terms of the reports coming out of camp, I'm not really all that worried at all. When it comes to our wide receiver battle, man, this is a tough room, man. This is a really tough room. But I am hearing a lot of good things coming out of Titans camp in regards to a lot of these players. First, let's just start at the top, man. DeAndre Hopkins and what he has done to this wide receiver room, just having that veteran presence there, having that proven guy there that, is just raising the level around him. You've heard a lot of reports from Treylon Burks, NWI, just about having him in the room and just, raising that competitiveness, raising the standard. He's had a wonderful effect on this room in terms of the wide receivers, as well as the quarterbacks. You see Tannehill building that trust, like he's trusting him a lot. He's going to him a lot, has thrown, I think, a couple of interceptions trying to target him, or maybe just one, but that's what you like to see. You see him making those tough catches and, tapping into who he used to be. Treylon Burks has been one of the winners by a lot of people in camp. He looks physically dominant. He's dominating his matchup physically. He looks fit. He looks fast. He's even out there giving pointers to other receivers. And that's what you want to see in year 2. Anytime you're out there giving pointers to other receivers, you know what you're doing. Anytime you're giving pointers or you're helping other people out, you know exactly what you're doing. Chris Moore will actually be the third receiver, wide receiver 3 on my list. He's getting a lot of praise from Vrabel, and if you watch the clips, man, he just looks smooth. He looks like the vet. Like, he looks like a vet. He looks like he belongs, all right? And, I mean, it kind of pushes NWI down to a smaller role, but, like, that's where I want NWI. I want him in a role where he is a pleasant surprise. Like, I don't want to have to go into a game plan in a week and have to depend on NWI to make plays for me. I like for him to be the pleasant surprise that makes plays. Kyle Phillips, year 2, looks stronger. Still looks shifty. Still looks crisp on his routes, and the kid is just going to be open a lot. He's just going to be open, man. He's just a technician with those routes. He's going to be open. And then I think that wide receiver 5 we just talked about him will be NWI. Wide receiver 6, I do think there's going to be a wide receiver 6. And my wide receiver 6 is going to be Reggie Roberson. Reggie Roberson, if that's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry if I messed up. But from SMU, man, coming out of SMU, was dealing with some serious knee injuries and kind of recovering. You know, for some people, they're able to snap back, but for other people, they need that year, to come back, or year or 2 to really get themselves back into prime shape. And the guy looks in prime shape. He looks in prime shape. If you're watching some of this film, man, he is being underthrown, which is a huge indication that you're so open that you're able to be underthrown. He's been underthrown. That means he's ahead of schedule on his routes. He's making sliding catches. He's coming back to the ball and making catches. And most importantly, he's being open and being that burner that you expected him to be coming out of SMU. If you look at those clips, man, he is literally leaving on all 3 of those catches. He's well ahead of the defense. One of them was right on target, beating the inbound line and getting his feet down. The other 2, he's 2 or 3 steps ahead of the receiver, so much so that the quarterbacks were allowed to underthrow him. And, he still was able to slow down, make the catch, and the defender still wasn't there in time to knock the ball down or make a play on the ball, man. Impressive stuff from Reggie Roberson, man. We don't get a lot of film or a lot of peek inside of camp when it comes to the cameras, just because of how the Titans are set up. They're one of the most restricted teams in the league, which is not great for us. Not great for us, but yeah, it's just good to hear that he's having a great camp. If he's going to be that burner that gets Racey McMath, he plays that burner role. That's what you're bringing him in to do. That means Racey McMath is probably not going to make this team, man. He's just not. You got Chris Moore lining up on special teams and doing some special team things. If Racey McMath is not going to be your burner, he's not going to be doing the special teams, you can send him to the practice squad. You got Colton Dow for that if you wanted to keep a 7th receiver, which won't happen. I definitely think that Reggie Roberson, after week 1, based on week 1, is leading in that wide receiver 6 role, in my opinion, just from the intel that's coming from our sources coming out of the Titans training camp. I think that Reggie Roberson is making a good impression. Trayshawn Harrison also had him a good day in week 1. We'll see if he can build on that, because if he can build on that, he can make his case for wide receiver 6 role. Mason Kinsey, I don't want to see him anymore. I'm sorry. If you're this is what, fourth year, third year in the Titans organization. If you can't crack into this lineup, man, this is just over for you, man. Maybe practice squad receiver is just your thing. Colton Dow was drafted and signed. This is a crowded. I mean, what a luxury to have. We were so worried about earlier in the summer. We were so worried about this group. And now this is probably one of our deeper groups on the team at wide receiver because of the addition of DeAndre Hopkins and because of the pleasant surprise in Reggie Roberson. This is a pretty deep group. And Chris Moore coming in and being that depth piece as a vet and being that slot that can, that big slot that can, cause some damage or do some damage inside and, use his speed, because he was sort of a speedster coming out of Cincinnati. So just it's a pleasant surprise, man. I'm happy to see this group getting to this point where we're kind of like, hey, we got some talent on the back end that probably won't even make this roster. Good place for this group to be. My 5 winners from camp so far. We're going to start with number 1, man, because I feel like it's a combination of things that make number 1 winners for me. The first thing will be, firstly, it will be the secondary. It will be the secondary, and that's not only because of Chris Harris and, acquiring one of the better, if not the best, defensive back coach in the NFL, but Christian Fulton and Elijah Molden being healthy and being praised for their contributions in camp. We saw a lot of one-on-one work, skill work, where Christian Fulton was just dominant a couple times this year. I mean this week in week 1 of training camp. He was just dominant. Just, he looks healthy. He's getting his hands on balls on defense, as well as just being in a good place. Even that catch where DeAndre Hopkins made the catch over him, the contested catch, pretty good coverage. You like to see him knock that one down, but he was there. He was stuck to him like glue. Just an amazing catch, and that's what DeAndre Hopkins is known for. Elijah Molden, being in that role I thought he'd be in, coming into the league, kind of that Tyrann Mathieu role where he can play nickel and he can play safety and he can play corner. He can do a little bit of everything and be that Swiss Army knife. He's finally in that role, and he's playing that role that we had Dan Cruikshank playing. Last year we had Andrew Adams, I believe his name was, before he, injured himself later in that season as well. So we'll have Elijah Molden in that role where he's covering tight ends and playing that nickel and playing inside and being that third safety that has that switchability that we like to use in our scheme. I think he's a much better option for that than the past 2 options we've used. And I'm just happy to see this secondary coming together. If Elijah Molden and Christian Fulton could continue to be who they are, and you have McCrary who can continue to take steps and get used to playing inside and being that slot corner, as well as Sean Murphy-Bunting leading that group on the outside, opposite of Christian Fulton, with Kevin Byard in the back and Hooker in the back. This can be a really good group. Even Trey Avery last year came in and played some good games for us. So this could be a really deep group. If we stay healthy, let's hope Caleb Farley can get healthy and has an opportunity to learn from Chris Harris. And so much talent there, man. So much talent there. Let's hope that Chris Harris can cultivate that. So my number 1 winner, my first winner would be the secondary. My second winner will be backup quarterback. Malik Willis and Will Levis are making me feel really comfortable about Ryan Tannehill not being here next year. They both had really good camps. They're making me feel really comfortable about Ryan Tannehill potentially not being here. I'm not going to pin them against each other. Malik Willis has had a great camp. I know everybody wants to see Will Levis overtake Malik Willis, but from the way Vrabel has talked, it seems to me he's been more impressed with Malik Willis and his growth. He's more impressed with his dual ability and being able to take advantage of the defense in the red zone. So it's been super impressive to me. My third winner would be Arden Key. He has been looking like the best player on defense so far in camp. He's made the most noise in terms of rushing the quarterback, in terms of being effective on defense. So I'm not going to spend too much time on Arden Key, but number 3 winner is definitely Arden Key. Azeez Al-Shaair making plays and being comfortable as the green dot. He talked about being comfortable as the green dot, the person who's getting the plays in and communicating those plays to the players around him. He had a stretch in training camp where 2 plays in a row, he kind of blew up the play and was disruptive. I'm going to be honest, I didn't really see that ability from David Long. I saw the ability to fill holes and be effective in, run support and be effective in coverage. But I didn't see him blowing up running backs, causing fumbles, and making those type of plays. So it's encouraging to see that from Al-Shaair. And lastly, I like to listen to Blaine and Mickey a lot. They do some media coverage for the Titans in Nashville, Tennessee, and they talked about 2 players that have stood out to them in being around the Titans and watching training camp. That's running back Jonathan Ward, which running back might be our deepest position on this team. But running back Jonathan Ward, he said he's just been consistent. He's been smooth, and he's just been making plays. And that makes you write his name down. And if he's doing that, Hassan Haskins is probably in trouble. And Jonathan Ward keeps that up. Armani Marsh, which is a cornerback, shouted out by Blaine and Mickey as well. He's just been another person that's just been popping up, and that has just been there, just been there and making plays as well. So those are going to be my 5 winners. Just to recap: secondary from Chris Harris all the way down to Trey Avery. Backup quarterbacks will be number 2, Malik Willis, Will Levis, Arden Key, who is – I'm going to really enjoy Arden Key this year, man. Like I said, I don't want to speak too much on it because I think he's going to continue to be on fire in camp. Azeez Al-Shaair, who I also think is going to continue to make plays and be on fire in camp, he's probably going to make a name for himself this year as well. And then Jonathan Ward and Armani Marsh would be number 5, just as those unheralded winners coming out of camp. But this has been Von's Doghouse, man. Stay tuned for more content coming soon. We're going to talk a little bit more, try to put out more videos this week concerning the Titans, man. Remember to like, subscribe, and follow. Stay tuned in, man. This has been Von's Doghouse. This is Mitch Machero.
And Morant is the hero.